What is media bias? Media bias is when the journalist is trying to persuade you of his own point of view. And there are many ways to apply media bias in newspapers. In this video, we'll listen to Nathan, who will narrate the different types of media bias. Grab your earphones and let's get this show on the road.
So, moving on, what exactly is bias? First of all, let's look at bias by omission. This means leaving something out, for example, a fact or a quote, which maybe doesn't support the writer's point of view. Let's look at some examples. Imagine Heba over here every morning checks the same website to read the news. She likes the way the articles are written and feels that she is getting good information. But one day her friend, Marwa, over here recommends a different news site. When Heba looks at this, she sees completely different news stories with a very different point of view. Let's say on Heba's website, there is a big story about how angry people are that a local factory is about to close. Marwa's website has the same story, but it doesn't mention that anyone is angry. The writer has omitted this information to make us feel differently about the story. The second type of bias might be placement. On Heba's website, the story is at the top of the page with a big photo and large text. This gives the impression that it is an important story. But on Marwa's website, the story is very short on the third page and very low down on the page, where people might not see it. The third type of bias is spin. The writer tries to make the reader feel the same way they do about a topic, and doesn't present a balanced point of view. They do this by choosing certain words. For example, argued the factory manager instead of agreed the factory manager. Secondly, they choose to include certain information and leave other information out. Thirdly, they give only one point of view. In our example, the journalist gives the reaction of the staff in the factory, but not the managers, and it misleads the reader into thinking it is a bad thing. On the other hand, in Marwa's story, it is presented as a good thing. It mentions that there is a lot of pollution caused by the factory. The journalist in this case is trying to convince the reader that the managers are right, and closing the factory is the right thing to do.
Now you will listen to two live examples of bias by placement and omission. The first report is titled, "Millions to be spent on project that will make our traffic worse." And it's on the front page.
Car drivers are angry about plans to open a new bus lane from the city center. The plan, which will cost 200 million, will stop all cars using Yellow Road, one of the most important roads into the city.
Traffic in the city is already terrible,
says businesswoman Mrs. Joan Bates.
If they close Yellow Road, it will be even worse,
says another business person who uses South Road regularly. Mr. Jason Shelley says,
why are they planning to close roads? With so many cars in the city, they need to build new ones. No one wants to take buses because they are too slow.
The second report is titled, "New Route to Serve University." And it's on the third page.
There are plans for a new bus lane from the city center to the university. The 200 million project will mean closing Yellow Road to cars, but will make the journey by bus 30 minutes faster. The organizers believe the project will help attract students to the university. Electric buses will also reduce pollution. The bus lane will also be used by bikes and taxis. The project is part of a long-term plan to persuade people to use public transport rather than driving, to help reduce traffic and air pollution.
As a recap, we listened to a lecture of Nathan about media bias and its types. After that, Nathan gave us another two reports as examples of media bias. To make sure you get the lesson, what are the three types of media bias which Nathan explained? Write down all your thoughts in a comment.